Sean does not grow. He stays the same. His arms and legs are overcooked spaghetti, laced with the bones of dead birds. Behind his eyes, it's blank, as fog over snow. School. The retards class. Geez, what a friggin' zoo. The severely/profoundly handicapped special education program at Shoreline is an amazing piece of work. There are only 7 of us kids in the room, along with our teacher, Mrs. Hare, and 2 teacher's assistants, Becky and William. William is this incredibly cruel, vicious psychopath with huge, hairy arms who tortures us and does terrible things to us whenever we're alone with him. Did that get your attention? I'm just messing with you. Actually, William is an incredibly nice guy. He's about 50 and real strong and big. He's great. Once, William accidentally broke my arm when I was falling out of my wheelchair. He grabbed me as I was nosediving toward the hard tile floor. He didn't want me to crack my skull, so he grabbed me, catching my arm at the wrong angle. I was in the middle of a seizure when it happened, but I came back into my body pretty fast when that bone snapped. Of course, there was a big deal incident report, and William had to answer a lot of questions, but he never treated me any differently than he always had. He was just as nice as always. He's not afraid of us retards. Becky is great too. She has red hair, long and soft. She's only about 20 years old, and her body's gorgeous, and she's super nice. I love it when Becky works with me, especially when she wears a low-cut top and has to bend over to load and unload me from this special standing contraption they put me in a couple of hours every day. Her breasts are perfect, round and smooth and big. If I could be William, I'd spend every hour of every workday trying to figure out how to score with Becky. Hell, I'm me and I do that already. But you'd have to figure William would at least have a chance. I mean, he speaks the same language as Becky and can walk around and smile and do all of those necessary prerequisites to scoring. You'd figure the guy would have at least a chance. But I've never seen anything sexy or weird ever going back and forth between them. For some reason, that makes me like William even more. Mrs. Hare is an older teacher lady. Little reading glasses hanging on the end of her nose. She always looks like she just got back from a walk on a windy day. She's nice, patient, a little boring, but real caring. I don't like her quite as much as I like William and Becky, but she does a good job running the show. And what a show it is. I'm making this all sound normal and sane. Mrs. Hare and William and Becky are fine, but that's where normalcy and sanity end. The zoo is not like any other schoolroom you've ever seen. Although we're located at Shoreline High School, we're not really a part of it. First of all, remember that we students are all retards. We moan, we drool, we take dumps in our pants, we smack ourselves upside our own heads, we take headlong swan dives into the floor, we eat dirt and eraser dust and hunks of old crayons and chalk, anything, actually, that we can get into our mouths. Those of us who can walk into walls and doors and one another. Those of us who can't walk just sit around eyeing all day long. Teachers call this vocalization. And when you've got half a dozen retarded teenaged vocalizers all eyeing at once, the noise is pretty unbelievable. In order to qualify to be in our class, you have to demonstrate lack of continence, meaning you can't control your expulsion emulsions. In other words, you're too messed up to know how to use the bathroom on your own. The smells in the room are pretty amazing. Lysol meets the pig pens in Beyond Thunderdome. I'm pretty sure I'm the only secret genius in our group. Pretty sure. You never know. It probably sounds like I think I'm better than the other retards. Maybe I sound cruel to talk about us the way I do. Well, I absolutely don't think I'm better. I don't think there's some kind of retard ranking with me at the top and all the little stupids below me. I use the word retard the way I use any word or words. Dolphin, racehorse, sandwich, sidewalk, and apple. Is a dolphin better than a racehorse? A sandwich better than a sidewalk? An apple better than a whatever? Words just stand for the things that they are, and for what people mean them to stand for. A retard is not a normal person. Putting us in baseball caps and Reebok high tops and teaching us to connect bolt A to nut B, to count back change, to stack plastic covered packages of pork chops, none of these things will make us normal. Making us try to copy normal people's values, habits, hobbies, and traits will not change the fact that we are retards, are not normal folks. We are different. I call my classmates retards because that's the word people use when they look at us. Retard means slow, but it's also a word used for a whole class of human beings who are only slow because normal people try to make everybody do things in the same ways and at the same pace. We retards are retards only because normal people call us that. I actually enjoy the weird irony of the fact that I'm considered the dumbest kid in my retard class. Most of the others can talk a little. Some walk a little. All but me communicate at least a little bit. One guy, Jimmy, walks around saying honey all the time. Several kids are able to ask for cookies. Another guy, Alan, constantly grabs his crotch and says winky over and over. Our classroom looks like a torture chamber or a weirdo's playpen. Of course, there's all the useless standard school crap. Pictures of presidents, big alphabet letters, maps, a chalkboard, a closet, a Kleenex box. But if you look a little closer, you can't help but notice the number of leather straps and on odd rack-looking wooden contraptions. Soft cords used to hold us kids in place. Some beanbag chairs, a large couch mysteriously stained, and a wide variety of bizarre objects used for educational purposes. My school, and darn proud of it. Fight on, you mighty Spartans. Fight on. Rah, rah, rah. I was having a pretty good morning yesterday until my dad showed up with a video cameraman from Channel 7, the local PBS station. Although I'm sure my dad would have preferred to talk with Becky, he walked into the room and over to Mrs. Hare. He introduced himself and they chatted. It looked like Mrs. Hare had been expecting them. She smiled and he smiled and my classmates and I drooled. The tall cameraman, guy with a beard, who had come in with Dad, began setting up his video camera. Dad glanced around the room, then started a little testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3 routine into his microphone. He walked over to me and patted my head, then bent over and kissed my cheek. "Is that where you want to shoot?" the cameraman asked. "Sure," Dad answered. Is our sound right? The cameraman asked. "Yep," my dad answered. "We're rolling," the cameraman said. "Okay," Dad said. Then he took a deep breath. "Hello," he said, holding the microphone in front of him, looking straight into the camera. "I'm Sydney McDaniel, and this is my son, Sean. Sean is a profoundly developmentally disabled. I'm here with him today at his school. You might not be aware of it, but your tax dollars, to the tune of $35,000 a year in services, staffing, special equipment, and a wide variety of additional expenses, are used to support each and every uneducable child, like Sean, in programs designed to educate the uneducable. That's $35,000 per child, per year, year in and year out. If educating the uneducable sounds just a little too paradoxical to you, well, that's exactly why we're here today at Shoreline High School. We've come to visit my son and honestly examine just what your money is buying." I sat listening to and remembering Dad's words in the background. I could hear winky, 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 and honey, honey, honey. William came into my sight and he looked angry. Dad continued, "While none of us would disagree with the noble intentions of the State Department of Education and the Seattle Public School District, that each and every child deserves an education designed to help that child achieve his or her greatest level of accomplishment and potential, the fact is that our schools, your schools, are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, making sure that children who simply cannot learn are being taught. Why do we teach children who cannot learn? Is it really worth the allocation of resources presently deployed to help a 14-year-old kid master tying his shoes and spelling cat, when such tasks require hundreds and hundreds of hours of individual teacher time? And even worse, how exactly do we justify the price we pay in energy and resources for a child like Sean who will never tie his own shoes or speak or understand the word cat, much less spell it? You have to agree, Dad made some interesting points. Why educate the uneducable? Why even try? Remember, in the eyes of the world, based on proven scientific methods for judging things, I'm an idiot, a moron, a celery stalk, a chunk of granite. My classmates aren't exactly on track for careers in nuclear physics or brain surgery either. My dad turned slowly toward me, then gazed back into the camera. If we cannot educate kids because they are uneducable, and we will not simply warehouse them in shoddy group homes or huge impersonal, neglect-prone institutions, doesn't it ask the question, what do we do? I wish I had a simple answer for such questions. We all wish we had simple answers to our complex questions. Yet the truth is there are no simple answers. There are only complex answers to complex questions. Right there was when my seizure hit. It came on right when my dad and me were in front of the camera, looking all cozy, lovey, father and son-like. Right then, crackle, 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 swoosh. Red light, bluer light, idiot laughter, muscle contractions, slow spin of the room, spirit rising out of my body. And while I don't usually remember many details of reality during seizure times, I do remember parts of this one. Dad stopped talking when he heard me laughing. He turned, looked in my eyes, saw the seizure grabbing me. Of course I felt happy, as I always am when a seizure hits. But I caught glimpses of his face, his mood, as I drifted away. He looked sad and disappointed. Because I was having a seizure, I couldn't make out all of what he said, but bits of his speech came through. And what of our children who suffer unbearable pain? Doesn't to love them? If we really love that child, shouldn't we? And if no hope, shouldn't someone end his pain? My spirit floated near my dad and me. I listened as well as I could, trying to pay attention. But in another moment, my spirit was unable to resist the temptation to cruise over and nuzzle Becky's breasts, to lick the vanilla cookies in the open bag on Mrs. Hare's desk, to soar out to the playground and play slalom between the posts of the swings and metal poles of the basketball backboards. I know I'm irresponsible. I should have tried to stick around and listen to the rest of Dad's PBS special on retards and educableness and appropriate allocation decisions in an era of diminishing funding. I should have stuck around. So sue me. Hell, I'm 14 years old. For some reason, flying and slaloming and cookie licking and breast nuzzling just felt like a much better, utilization of my resources. When I came back into my body, Dad and the cameraman were already packing up their gear. The show was over. I felt a little bad about missing it all. And then I remember what my dad had said. End his pain. I'd heard that phrase not so long ago, that day with the crow. At that time, it had made me nervous, but I tried to forget about it. Now, hearing it again so soon, I got the picture. In another few moments, Dad walked away toward the door. As he reached for the door handle, he glanced back over his shoulder one final time. I happened to be looking directly at him. There was something in his expression that I'd never seen before, a look in his eyes that I can't describe. All I know is that I felt a chill, as though a sudden gust of cold air were blowing through the room. End my pain? It made me mad. What right does he have to decide what's best for me? What right does he have to think about ending my pain? He's never even around me. Dad is only talking now, but how long before he does more than just talk?